So, Feybreak passives and what the best build is right now. I bred 6 different Xenolords. You can see here, I'll put somewhere in the video as well, a little picture of all the different passives. So it's 6 different builds that I tested against a decent easy fight against Lily. I tested it against a more difficult fight in Victor. It also required a little bit of mixing skills. The elements of the skills. And then I also tested it a little bit against raid bosses to just compare and the different scenarios. So going first into the Lily fight. What happened in the Lily fight is that all the pals without Vampiric, the first 3, no Vampiric and then Vampiric on the last 3, they all died, and the ones with Vampiric survived and won the fight. So already there was a favor for Vampiric. It did very well in that fight. For a DPS build, you would go Serenity, Invader, Demon God, Musclehead, and then Impatient or Legend, just in pure DPS. And then for defense, it would seem that you go Vampiric and then some sort of attack instead of these defensive ones. So if you go Vampiric and Diamond Body, you're dealing less damage, so you're also healing less. So this build performed a little bit better in the test versus this build. And then this build didn't do so well because Serenity just seems to be so important. Overall, Invader did a little bit better than Impatient, which makes sense. It is supposed to do that. And against Lily, I was only using the elements that are buffed by Invader. So it was both the Dark and the Dragon skills. Then going on to Victor, Vampiric again gave a lot of sustain. No Xenolord won the fight. One of them managed to summon the clone. That was pretty much it, as far as they could go. Impatience benefit was lower, because now I was using Holy Burst against Victor. Or no, rather Invaders was lower. Invader was a bit lower. Impatient was a little bit better in comparison. At the same time, like the overall value of Impatient has gone down now that pals are spamming these basic attacks when everything is on cooldown. Impatient is not as important anymore. And it's really only for this pal. You would be using Legend instead. So that was just to give a rough overview. In terms of DPS here, the Invader dropped down, so you would just go Serenity, Demon God, Musclehead, and then Legend or Impatient, depending on what pal you have. For the defensive builds, again, if we compare the numbers with Vampiric and Diamond Body, Diamond Body gives around 20% damage reduction. It's 30% defense. It ends up being around 20% roughly. It will depend kind of on your pal, how much defense it has to start. So for this particular Xenolord, Diamond Skin gives it almost 3000. It's 2817 bonus HP from the resistance that it does give. So while Xenolord 4 did 285,000 damage, it healed for 14,000 damage. Or health rather. So it gets almost 5 times more health than you would from Diamond Body. So overall, against these tower boss tests, Vampiric did a lot better than Diamond Body. But at the same time, that was also kind of expected. It was just like to see if Diamond Body would give any sort of huge benefit. So you're again going Vampiric or with attack passives over Vampiric with defense, and then just going defensive build like this one didn't seem very good. And then we got the raids themselves. So I did a few tests against the raid bosses. I used 3 of the same of these 2 to compare. So 3 of these against 3 of these. And the DPS was pretty similar. Vampiric didn't add a whole lot of sustain. So with 3 pals, they healed around 2000 health before dying. And this was against a regular Xenolord. So they healed around 2000 health. That is a little bit lower than you would get from having Diamond Body instead. and with 15 Xenolords, I did a test with just 15 of these ones as well. It was around 3000 healed, so very similar to Diamond Body. And then against the Ultra, Xenolord Ultra, which is like what we're most interested in, the pals died very quickly. So they usually only got off enough attacks for like 1 minute to heal 500 to 800 damage. Not a whole lot. If you look at like the total health of raid bosses, you will find that if you're using, let's say you have 45 pals to bring down Xenolord Ultra, if they all share damage between them equally, they will heal around 2200, so less than you would get from Diamond Skin or Diamond Body. If you had something like a Rio Ultra army, you got 15 Gignesses taking down Rio Ultra alone, which should be possible now. They would heal 4500 per pal with just 15 pals. So a little bit more than Diamond Body, but at the same time, you don't really need it because they wouldn't die anyway. So that's another toss-up with like, do you want Diamond Body and Vampiric if your pals are not dying at all? So the value of Vampiric seems to be pretty low in a raid army. It's just if you spread the health around, the pals die quicker. They're just not healing. Like compared to Victor, instead of healing 14,000 health, it's healing 800 health. It doesn't seem very good for that. So to summarize this, like what build you should use and everything, it's probably a little bit depending on how comfortable you are with withdraw dodging. Like you could just take this pure damage build or something like this to a tower boss and then withdraw dodge. You don't need Vampiric at all. If you're just watching your pal fight in a tower boss, you probably want to go with this build. The build number 4 with Vampiric, Demon God, Musclehead, Serenity. You're going to be wanting to mix passives as well. So I'll put like the priority somewhere here for what passives you want depending on what situation. So you have like another scenario as well that the Lily fight was easier. If your pal is weak, Vampiric doesn't do a whole lot. Like the heal will scale depending on how strong your pal is. So if you don't have like a perfect pal, full condensed, max souls, max IVs, Vampiric won't be as good as other stuff. If it's like just tickling a boss. So that was it for this test. I'll be doing some more testing on these like different builds for different pals. This is just an overview. I'll put the summary at the end, what passive you want to go for. So for now, thanks for watching.